Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Is Memphis the new whiskey capital? Today, we review 4 absolute banger bottles. Join me as we will be taking a deep dive into the Blue City itself, Memphis, Tennessee. We're going to look at 4 incredibly budget-friendly offerings from Blue Note. We're going across the spectrum today, from heavy-hitting barrel proofs and unfiltered expressions to dynamic toasted finishes and soft wheated profiles. Best of all, every single one of these bottles comes in at under $50. But, as we always like to say on this channel, cheap doesn't mean good and expensive doesn't mean quality. Let's review them. We cover the nose, the palate, the value, and decide if these are permanent fixtures on your shelf or are they one and done empties? First up, we have the Blue Note Juke Joint Uncut. This is a spec store pick coming in at a roaring 118.1 proof. Now, this specific line of uncut bourbon made serious noise when it was named a Top 20 Whiskeys of the Year winner by Whiskey Advocate. What makes this special is that it is uncut and unfiltered. Let's break down what unfiltered actually means in the bourbon world. Most commercial whiskeys go through a process called chilled filtration to remove fatty acids and esters so that the whiskey doesn't get cloudy when it gets cold. But when you have a whiskey unfiltered, you keep all those natural oils and elements exactly as they came out of the barrel. The result, a massive, thick, full-bodied mouthfeel and a way more complex flavor profile. On the nose, this one is a total bake shop. You get fresh pastries, vanilla wafers, toasted brown sugar, and a hint of dark cherry cobbler pushing through all of that 118 proof. On the palate, there's incredible viscosity. That's the unfiltered oils at work. It hits with a heavy chocolate fudge, rich espresso, black pepper spice, and cooked red fruits. It's hot, but it wears its proof like a champion. Now let's talk about the price and value. As I mentioned, I picked this specs pickup for highly respectable $47. So, what's my verdict? Would I buy it again? For under $50? Absolutely. This is an elite value-tiered barrel proof. When this bottle drops, it gets replaced immediately. Sticking with that uncut and unfiltered theme, let's pivot to the rye. This is a seal box store pick, and Blake over at Seal Box specifically dubbed this barrel the cherry pie offering. It comes in at a hefty 121.2 proof. On the nose, the name doesn't lie. It smells exactly like warm stewed cherries, baking spices, and sweet pie crust with just a hint of minty rye underneath. On the palate, wow, it's a flavor bomb. Bold, barrel-proof rye spice, cinnamon and clove, immediately wrapped in a sweet, decadent, candied cherry glaze. It's oily, rich, and has massive finish that stays with you. From a price and value perspective, this was offered at $49 with free shipping. In today's market, getting a cast-strength single-barrel rye delivered to your door for under $50 is practically cheat code. So what's my verdict? Would I buy it again? Unquestionably a replacement bottle. If Seal Box drops another batch of these, I'm buying 2. Now let's move to a category that is near and dear to my heart. Toasted bourbons, specifically toasted French oak bourbons. This sits at a solid 100 proof, and I grabbed it directly from Blue Note's website for $45. If you've watched the channel before, you know French oak is my absolute favorite of the toasted oak varieties. American oak gives you those classic vanilla and caramel notes, but French oak staves bring a tighter grain and a completely different chemistry. That chemistry adds an incredible, rich, luxurious, and dynamic spice profile to the liquid. On the nose, this is beautifully aromatic. You get baked apple, dark caramel, and distinct, elegant, seasoned oak aroma that lets you know it has spent time in a toasted barrel. On the palate, this one is silky smooth at 100 proof. It gets a low proof ease of drinking, but hits with deep levels of cinnamon spice, dark honey, and a hint of dark chocolate. All of that balances the wood sweetness perfectly without being overly tannic or bitter. Price and value at $45, it's an incredible entry point into premium toasted finishes. Note, I'm actually going to do a standalone video comparing this directly to some of those other toasted French oaks with similar age statements. So make sure to stay tuned for that one. So what's the verdict? Would I buy it again? This is a fantastic daily sipper. It's earned a permanent spot on the shelf for when I want complexity without the blistering barrel-proof heat. Last, but certainly not least, we have the brand new limited release Blue Note Wheated Bourbon bottled at 101 proof. I also snagged this one right from their website too at $45. Before we taste, we need to clear up a common point of confusion in the whiskey community. The difference between a wheated bourbon and a wheated whiskey. To be a wheated bourbon, the mash bill must still follow federal law and be at least 51% corn. But wheat is used as the secondary flavoring grain instead of rye. Blue Note uses a high wheat mash bill of 70% corn and 21% wheat and 9% barley. A wheated whiskey, on the other hand, flips the script. The mash bill must be at least 51% wheat grain. The wheat grain gives a bourbon a much softer, rounder, and creamier sweetness compared to the sharp, peppery kick you get from rye. On the nose, this one is super expressive. Ripe peach, apricot stone fruit, rich toffee, and a distinct sweet pastry dough or pie crust note dusted with cinnamon. On the palate, it's soft, rounded, and velvety. It opens up with sticky toffee, graham cracker sweetness, and a touch of rustic grain, followed by a warm, honey-soaked finish with a rich hint of hazelnut. From a price and value perspective, at $45 for a limited run, 21% high wheat expression at 101 proof, the value is sky high. So what's my verdict? Would I buy it again? Here's the catch. This is a limited release of only 2,800 cases. If I can find it again before it completely evaporates from the market, I am absolutely grabbing a replacement bottle. It's a stellar pour. Memphis shows up large if you ask me. For a total investment under $200, you can have 4 completely distinct, high-character profiles on your bar. Blue Note is proving that they are masters of blending and finishing, capitalizing on that intense Memphis heat to age their liquid beautifully. What about you all? Have you run across any of these Blue Note store picks or web releases? Drop me a comment below and let me know what your favorite is. If you like this review, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you for the next pour on Whiskey, Toasted, and Finished.